Tá. Start recording. Okay, bye-bye.
Pronto, got it.
Tá.
Got it.
Okay, well, hello. Yeah, let us take our seats, please, and we should start already. Okay. Wonderful, great. Well, as an opening, I'd like to thank our host, Fabiola, for opening this wonderful. Yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah, you're the host. One at a time. Yeah. For opening this wonderful place, Ornare, the showroom, to have this meeting, this talk, and also, of course, now I'll thank Mileni, a friend of mine who has been studying Kabbalah for the last 11, 12 years, more or less. She started studying in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, and we have online also a few guests all over also from Brazil. And again, it's wonderful, wonderful being here. And of course, thank you. Your name again is?
Rafaela.
Rafaela, yeah, exactly. Rafaela. And also for, well, arranging all the nice buffet and snacks for us. Well, what are we going to do today? What I prepared for you and for myself as well is a talk about Kabbalah. Now, if you saw the invite, it's about Kabbalah and extraterrestrial intelligence. Yeah, the UFO is going to land in a little while, so don't be surprised. And some Martians will come out and say hello to you. But I'm the first Martian who's saying hello to you. Well, I'm actually an earthly. But in my life, I went through some very profound spiritual experiences that connected me to outer space consciousness, outer space intelligence, things that you may hear only on YouTube, people talking about it. Zakaria Zitkin was talking about ancient civilizations, UFOs, Martians, intelligences that came from other dimensions, this here, and well, this interaction between the humankind, the human race, and outer space intelligences. Is that something that we can rely on? Is it true? Is it not true? Maybe among you, there is someone who went through, again, other kinds of experiences, out-of-body experiences, or even encounters. I don't know. If you'd like to open and share and you went through it, well, we'll do that as well. But before that, before the UFO lands, I would like to give you a introduction about Kabbalah. And we were talking about me and Ashley, yeah? Whether you pronounce it as Kabbalah or Kabbalah. Well, we have how many A's? We have K-A, B-A, and another L and A. So we have 3 vowels. So there are 3 options. You can pronounce it as Kabbalah, which is the Hebrew way of saying it. You can say Kabbalah, which is more the American, European way of saying it, Kabbalah. But you can also say Kabbalah. That was a new thing for me that I learned where in my trip to Peru, where I met there a shaman or a shaman, depends how you say it. And he was our spiritual guide in Peru. And he said, the first thing he said to me, look, I want to invite you to a program, a radio program that I have that he speaks, and I would like to speak about Kabbalah. I said, Kabbalah? Well, I teach Kabbalah, or Kabbalah, but it was a new way of hearing this Kabbalah way. So what I'm trying to say is that you can say it any way you like, as long as you know what you are saying. What is Kabbalah? What is Kabbalah? Or what is Kabbalah? So if you go to Peru and you meet somebody there, a shaman or any person who will say, oh, Kabbalah. So you won't be surprised, because you already know that that is also an option how to pronounce it. So, Kabbalah, what is Kabbalah? We begin with a few basic questions. Is Kabbalah a religion? Is Kabbalah a philosophy? Is Kabbalah Jewish mysticism? Is Kabbalah mysticism in general? Well, I am here in this talk, and I'll be talking not too long, about 50 minutes, maybe an hour, and then I'll open for questions and answers. But until then, allow me to present something that we can work with. So, is Kabbalah a religion? The answer is definitely not. Is Kabbalah Jewish mysticism? The answer is also not. So, is Kabbalah related to Judaism? The answer is yes. But Kabbalah is related to all religions. In itself, it is not a religion, like we know in the conventional manner, about Judaism, about Christianity, about, you can say, Mohammedanism or Islam or whatever you want to call that religion, which I have a lot of respect to. All religions were or appeared during our history. And relatively speaking, the appearance of religions as we know them now is relatively quite recent. So if we talk about Christianity, Catholicism, maybe how long? Well, the 3rd century. And I'm talking about 300 years after Jesus. So did Jesus preach about Christianity or about a new religion? Now we can say definitely not. And that may be something new for most of us. Did Moses or Abraham, did they preach or teach a religion? The answer is also no. Did Muhammad want to establish a new religion? The answer is no. In the same way that did Buddha have a desire of inventing a new religion into the world? The answer is also no. Yeah, driving. I think you brought more. Oh, the books. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I brought a few books. I must say the books that I have are in Portuguese. Yeah. I'm working on it and having also books in English. Please give me some time. But those among you who know how to read Portuguese and understand Portuguese, I hope will be able to purchase some of these books. So back to our subject. Kabbalah is not a religion because Kabbalah was not invented or prepared or compiled by any specific person. For example, we take any philosophy, even communism, Karl Marx, a wonderful person, a genius. When he tried to explain Marxism or communism, it was more Marxism than communism, he had a vision in his mind of how people should live a better life, no hunger, no poverty, equality, and so on and so on. But on paper, it was wonderful. But once it came to practice what he was trying to invent, well, again, I leave you to decide whether it has become a disaster or is the best way of living. But in any case, that's the gap between the philosophy that the person may invent in his own mind, in his own vision, and living that philosophy. Religions also may have fallen into the same trap. So once upon a time, yes, there were a lot of people who tried to, how should I call it? Give a good packaging for something which is beyond packaging. Now, what is that? What is the essence of all religion? Whether, again, it is Islam, Christianity, New Testament, Old Testament, Buddhism, Sufism, what is the essence of all religions? It's something that is transcendental. It goes beyond time, space, movement, change. It has nothing to do with, in fact, again, the essence of all religions will be packaging. So we try to box in, as a term, not even packaging, boxing in something which is endless, infinite, then we are doing maybe the greatest crime that we will be committed. Not because we are bad people, not because we are evil, but it just doesn't work. So once we enter into the essence of all religions, we are transcending this maybe obsessive or this need of mankind to put everything in a package. The essence of, again, we're taking it's not a closet, it's not a box, it's something beyond that. So when we as people, as we said, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, Abraham, Enoch, who else? Gandhi, they saw something, or more than see. They were able to connect to something which is beyond the immediate, maybe desire, need, or interest of anybody specific. They were able to channel something, and that is the right term, to channel. It was not their own invention. They did not sit down and say, okay, let us write the Constitution of the United States of America. And then, okay, I agree, I don't agree, this is right, this is correct, and so on. And ever since then, we have been messing around with the Constitution as, the needs may arise. That's not what Kabbalah is about. That is not what the essence of all religions is about. So here we are trying to open up again to something that exists. It has been existing forever, or since ever, and will continue to exist forever and ever. It is timeless. It is beyond me in my own physical form. So the question is, how the heck will I be able to learn and study or know anything about something which is way, way, way beyond me? Well, that's it. I'll say something. In all my years of teaching Kabbalah, and I forgot to present myself, I know Joseph. And I learned Kabbalah, Kabbalah when I was 21, 22 years old in Israel. And again, it wasn't my plan, but it happened, and that's what we say. It is more than we that pursue Kabbalah or look for Kabbalah. It is the Kabbalah that holds us. So I was then learning about computer, young man, planning my life, my career, my money, I want this, I want that, my ambitions. And boom, a new door opened to me, the door of Kabbalah. And that's what I'm doing also today to you. I'm opening a door. This door is a possibility, an opportunity, you may see. But the door is only the open. If you want to enter and see the building and venture to the building and the dimensions of consciousness, that's how we're speaking about, that is your own free will and decision that I will never interfere. Why? Because when we're talking about something which is spiritual, and Kabbalah is a spiritual wisdom, it's not a philosophy. And I always say the difference. It's a spiritual wisdom. When we talk about spirituality, we have to respect the golden rule: freedom of choice and free will. And there's no coercion in spirituality. Nowadays, a lot of people are using the term spirituality as a part of religiosity. Now, what is religiosity? Again, we're inventing words here as we're going. Why? Because we're, again, opening, it's uncharted waters here. We're opening a new age. Now, this new age brings a lot of, well, new things to us. It can be called the age of Aquarius, air and all that, songs about this and that. It can be called the era of Messiah. It can be called the era of enlightenment. But in whatever term we may use, we are feeling that we are going through many, many, many changes. And that's what we say, change is the only permanent thing the only constant thing that we have. Constant change. And this brings us to, well, a new reality, or many new realities of new challenges. Challenges that our fathers or forefathers didn't have to, well, mothers and foremothers as well, didn't have to face or find solutions for. And that is where we are, as I said before, again, walking upon uncharted waters. We have to reinvent ourselves in all aspects: education, finance, politics, relationships, and we are doing it. But the question is, how we are doing a good job of it? Well, again, I'm not here to judge anyone. On the contrary, as I said before, I'm here just to open a door of dimensions of consciousness that we all already have. So in all the years that I've been teaching Kabbalah, there is an opening phrase that I use to everyone. I say that if you are here to, well, in your mind, to learn something new, then I'm not here to teach anything new. I'm only here to help you to unveil what you already know. And that is Kabbalah. The wisdom of Kabbalah already exists in every single person, in every single cell of our being, in our DNA. But what we have lost throughout many, many years of history of mankind and so on and so on, is how to access that source of spiritual, cosmic, universal wisdom that we call Kabbalah, in my language, Hebrew. But again, if a person comes and says, oh, why do we call it Kabbalah? Why don't we call it, I don't know, whatever name? I say, I don't mind. Why? Because the term Kabbalah is not something that segregates, that separates this wisdom from other universal cosmic wisdom. So let us not mistake the label and say that the label is important. No, the label is just the door. What is important is the essence. So once you start learning Kabbalah, you'll see that, hey, Kabbalah has a lot to do with Buddhism, with Zen, with yoga, with the Quran, with the New Testament, with the Old Testament, with the books of the dead of ancient Egypt. And suddenly we are, again, as I said before, sailing in a new dimension of consciousness where we open from ourselves, from within, this universal cosmic wisdom of consciousness that helps me to relate to all the wisdom that exists in the universe. Because wisdom is not what we may read in a book. A book will give me a lot of information, which is very important to read books. But what I do with this information depends on how wise or not I am, or maybe. And this is what is happening with us in our age. A lot of information, a lot of technology. I can access any sort, any kind of information that I want with a press of a button, not even a button, just a click, and that's it. The world of information opens up to us, to me. But the question is, am I wise enough to know how to benefit from this information and not end up destroying myself? So what is the difference between a wise person and a smart person? Not a smart guy, because a smart guy has a different connotation, but a smart person. We all want to see ourselves as smart people. Even more so, we want to see ourselves as intelligent people. But what does it mean, being intelligent? Well, a good question. We don't know how to evaluate or even measure our level of intelligence. We have the IQs, okay. But then, over the last 45, 50 years that I've been going through all the IQ processes of evaluation, the IQ measurements or the tools are changing all the time. And we don't know how to really measure a person's level of intelligence. But what we know is how smart we are, how quick I am to be able to answer the question or memorize something. But that is not what Kabbalistic wisdom is about. So being smart is something. Being wise is completely different. And what's the difference? The smart person has as much information as he may know, remember, in his own brain or mind. He may not be able to benefit from all the information that he has in his mind. The wise person is a person who may know or have less information, but his wisdom is measured by his ability to benefit from what he knows, or the information that he knows. Okay? And that's a different way of evaluating ourselves. So we know a lot. We are the most informed generation that ever existed here on the face of our planet. Are we wise? As I said before, the wise person is a person who may know less or have less information, but he knows how to benefit from every single piece of information that he may accumulate throughout his life. So nowadays, after maybe 70 or 80 or 90 years, or maybe 120 years of scientific evolution and inventions and innovations, we are faced with a very critical question. Are we, as a humankind or human race, are we able, or will we be able, to continue living? Or are we facing a process of self-annihilation, self-destruction? We see a lot of destruction around us. And that is a very scary question. Because 20 or 30, 40 years ago, we were full of we were so confident that yes, with science and technology and all this wonderful world, we will live a better life, better quality, better health, better relationships. We will be more happy beings. Nowadays, after 50 or 60 years, we have more experience. And we say yes. On one hand, throughout the last 50 years, what humankind has advanced in its technology, information, and science, mankind has not evolved in the last maybe 5,000 to 10,000 years. Great achievements. But now we understand that there's the other side of the coin. And when we see the other side of the coin, we realize that in the last 50 years, we have destroyed, through science and technology, what mankind has not destroyed in the last 5,000 to 10,000 years. And that is a wake-up call. It is a very important wake-up call. And that is Kabbalah. Kabbalah is not about, meditating and thinking, oh, listen, I'm beautiful, I love the whole world. That's also about Kabbalah. Please, if I can join us.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, please. Yeah. There are chairs here, or just choose a place.
Thank you.
Very well. So this is a crossroad that we have reached. maybe too soon than we have expected, but we are there. So Kabbalah and spirituality, I would say again, Kabbalah is down to earth spirituality, down to earth. It's not about, this feeling a wonderful world full of love, and I love everyone, I love the flowers, I love the birds, I love the bees. Love is very important, but it has to go to a practical manner. Otherwise, again, like any other philosophy, it will be wonderful on paper, but in practice, a disaster. And we don't want that to happen. So, how did we arrive? How did we reach this point? Who are we? What are we? Yeah, I'm a physical being. I have my body. I was born in a certain year. I have my name, I have my identity, and my parents. Oh, so I know everything about myself. No, I don't know. I know only the physical information that builds a physical identity that I'm carrying with myself. Oh, who are you? Oh, I'm Joseph. Oh, what do you do? I do this. And where do you live? I live there. And after that, when I look into myself, who am I really am? Who I really am? I don't know. And this is where we may feel this sensation of being lost in the infinite ocean of the universe. Kabbalah can help us navigate in this ocean without not only being lost, but also without drowning. Now we come to the question. Where did Kabbalah begin? Who are the first Kabbalists? What does it mean to be a Kabbalist? Am I a Kabbalist? Hey, if somebody calls me a Kabbalist, I'll say, okay, thank you very much then. But I don't go around with this, title, oh, I'm a great Kabbalist and so on and so on. I can be a teacher of Kabbalah. Yes, I can be even a master of Kabbalah. But eventually, I know who I am, at least from that point of view. I'm only a disciple, like every one of you. We are all here to learn. And the best way to learn, the most complete way to learn, is together. Does anybody know everything? We know that it is, again, an impossibility. But what I learned from my journey in the study of Kabbalah is not all the wisdom in the universe, but I learned how to use these keys. It's like going into a library. Excuse me. So those among us who still go to libraries, yeah, you go to a library, there are many, many sections. Everything is there, most. And then you can feel lost. Oh, where am I? You need a librarian. Oh, please, librarian, where can I find books on this subject? Oh, you go to this section, this floor, this room, there it is. Oh, wonderful. So you can see me as a librarian. So once you want to access any source of wisdom, yeah, I'll help you. I'll give you the right key to the right door. But eventually, this source of wisdom, like I said before, is already inside you. I'm not here to teach anything new. I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to tell you to believe in God or not believe in God or change your religion or accept in your religion. None of that. Pure wisdom. Now, I wanted to use another word, which is knowledge or knowing. And again, as I said before, we have to invent the words in order to access something which is beyond the physical reality as we're approaching. So why did I use knowledge and then knowing? Remember? Hey, I said, I know what I am, what are my details, my information, but I don't necessarily know who, in essence, I am. This is the knowing. So I have a lot of knowledge about myself, but I have no knowing of the self, of my self, the capital S. And this is the journey of spirituality, the knowing of the self. So once you approach me and say, I want to process this knowing, I say, what do you want to be knowing of? Oh, I want to be or acquire the knowing, not the knowledge, the knowing. And what's the difference, by the way, between knowledge and knowing? Knowledge is something stagnant. It's knowledge. Knowledge in the book is there. The knowing is a verb. It demands action. If you do not act, you don't exist. That is why we all have a job. Why do I have a job? I'm with a job. Because without working, acting, I don't feel that I am deserving my existence. I have to justify my existence. We justify our existence nowadays in this reality by a job, by my salary, by my commitments, by responsibility, which is very important. But we have another commitment, that we have to justify our existence not only in front of a financial system, not only in the eyes of my family and my friends, but also towards the universe that we're living, towards our planet, towards nature, towards the trees, the birds, and that's what we're feeling now. Hey, all these creatures depend on me. Until now, I've been abusing all these living creatures, eating, consuming, obsessively. And now realize that I'm eating as a human race, right? Too many fish, too much fish, too many. I'm slaughtering too many cows, and all the illnesses and all the toxics and the venom that I'm putting inside all what I'm eventually eating and drinking. Is there a commitment? Sure, there's a commitment. There's a great commitment. We as a human race, we are responsible not only for our lives, but the life of all creatures, animals, birds, trees, even the rocks, the minerals that we are interacting with. And that is a new responsibility. But the question is, where do I learn? Where do I learn? Where do I learn how to assume responsibility and become part of this integration process with all the living beings that are around me physically? I'm introducing to you this evening, not only the physical features that we are responsible for, and we should be responsive to, but also spiritual beings that we also have to know about, to learn, to know. And the knowing is where I enter with an active consciousness. It's not just reading a book about extraterrestrial beings. It's not only watching a YouTube documentary about, somebody is talking about some theory and so on and so on. No, we're talking about live, physical, spiritual experiences. Now we go back to Kabbalah.
Eu só vou guardar para você, Giovana. Só tô arrumando aqui para você.
Or microphone?
Não, trabalho menos que você.
Odete,
Odete?
acho que sim. Odete, tem que colocar no mudo.
Okay. So, talking about spiritual beings, okay, we heard something. So,
Minha alegria, você não tem ideia, tá aqui. Não tem noção.
Who's talking there?
Noção. Falei para você que eu vim para cá para fazer isso.
Olá, pessoal, eu peço de fechar o microfone, tá bom? Obrigado. So, what we talk about, again, sages of Kabbalah, and a sage of Kabbalah, Hebrew. So Kabbalah, what does Kabbalah mean in Hebrew? Kabbalah in Hebrew means, well, as we always know, there are two sides of the coin. One meaning for the Kabbalah is to receive. Okay, so what's happening now? Yeah, I'm here talking, transmitting some message, and in one sense, you are sitting down, very politely, I must say thank you, and receiving. Receiving what? Yeah, information, receiving also some impressions, good impressions, bad impressions. Your mind is going through something, thinking about what I'm talking about, and so on, so on. So this is the transmitting and receiving. That is how the Kabbalah, which is the oral law, or the oral teaching, was passed down through the generations. from one master to the disciple. So the master always, well, transmitted or shared the wisdom. The disciple, discipline, receives. When the disciple was ready to become a master, then the spiritual master passed on to another dimension of existence, and the disciple became a master to continue this chain of wisdom. So that throughout the last, I must say, nearly 6,000 years, this chain of wisdom, Kabbalah, was not interrupted. In every generation, there appeared at least one master and one disciple. In other generations, there were more masters, more disciples. But in the worst situation or scenario, there was one master, there was one disciple. And this is how we are learning about what we call now cosmic laws, cosmic consciousness. So when we talk about ourselves as a human race, and we may encounter a moment in life and we say, but who are we? Who are we? Yeah, we're human beings, human race. Or what are we doing here on earth? From when did we arrive? And there are many, many theories. In any case, Kabbalah began to be channeled into our dimension of consciousness, as I said before, about 6,000 years ago. Once this cosmic intelligence of divine wisdom, universal wisdom, started entering into the primates that were here, growing, evolving, eating, and of course procreating, suddenly there became a new change, a change in our own biological DNA. So when I go to school, or I send my children to school, and they learn about the theory of evolution, Darwin, a great mind. And Darwin explains how from one species to another species, until eventually the human being became a human being and whatever. One word is missing in our process of study. What is that word? Why? I exist. Why? This happened. Why? In order to study Kabbalah, or in order to access this infinite source of wisdom which already exists in me, I have to use primarily this key word, why? With a question mark. Not why with an exclamation mark, oh, why? Why with a question mark. Yes, please. Why? Why? Have we already heard about the why age, or the age of the why? The why age? We go through this process as we grow up. The age of the why. When we're 4 years old, when we are 3 to 5 years old, average 4, we start asking mother, father, everyone, why? Teacher, why? But instead of receiving an answer, we are discouraged. Oh, don't ask me why. I don't know why. And we feel that we are, well, making our mother, our parents a bit nervous, our teachers, and we stop asking why. Now, if I tell you the first key word to learn Kabbalah is why, now we can reach a conclusion and use our intelligence and say yes. So even children by the age of 4, they are already starting to learn Kabbalah. They want to access the divine cosmic wisdom. But what we do, we close their minds. We don't allow them. Stop asking me why. I don't know why. This is how it's done. This is how you do it. And from there now on, what do? We stop learning Kabbalah. But actually, it's not only stop learning Kabbalah, that thirst inside us that comes from our inner being, from our inner self, it's not quenched. We stop. And we start growing up, going to school, have a job, and we never ask why again. Unless I already have a prepared answer. So why does this happen? Oh, because this is I already did the equation. But that is not the why. I am referring to that why that opens our mind, that opens our soul, that opens our heart to something, as I said before, that already exists. The wisdom of the Kabbalah is not invented. It is connected. I mean, it is supposed to be connected to. Through what? Through the knowing. And that is where we start receiving through our intuition, through our spiritual mind, all the answers that we have been looking for throughout our entire life. Because all the answers that we are looking for already exist in us. But we stop asking why. So, why? There is a Bible, or a good book, sorry, called the Bible. And we say, okay, the Bible talks about something that relates to the creation. One day, I don't know exactly which day it was of the week, because it doesn't say Sunday or a Monday. It says day one. God appeared and he created the universe. But he started step by step. First by the light. Oh, the light. Why did God need light? See, why? So when I read the first verses of the Bible, where they open minds, and I say, wait a second, God created the light. He said, let there be light. So where was God? Was God living in darkness? Why did God have to call upon the light to appear? But God is God. He doesn't live in darkness. So this is just an example of how we miss so much in the world of information. And you all know about this verse, right? God, on day one, actually, which day one, I don't know. Is it Sunday? It says day one, and then day two. And you read this verse over and over and over, but you never asked why. God, why? Why? Oh, you mentioned Adam. Why? Why? Oh, you're not supposed to know. This is beyond you. Only God knows, and so on. I'm talking about God. Why? Why? What does Kabbalah have to do with God? What is God? God is nothing but a code, a keyword, not an entity, not a being, with a beard or without a beard. It's not a he, it's not a she, it's not an it, it's not a them. It's not. It's a code, a cosmic code. So how does the Kabbalah decipher the term God? Well, from the Kabbalist point of view, God equals the divine, cosmic, universal consciousness of all mankind. Wow, that's a long phrase. So instead of using this phrase, the universal cosmic consciousness, divine wisdom of mankind, I have a code. By the way, the term is not God, it's not God. The term is in Hebrew, because the Bible was not written in English. It was written in Hebrew. And we have a specific name or a keyword for that collective consciousness of all, divine consciousness of all mankind. So if I unite, if I bring together all the minds, the pure mind, not the contaminated mind, I collect. It's a mind. So there's all these minds, your mind, my mind, his mind, their mind, the mind of the Jew, the mind of the Christian, the mind of the African, the mind of the Chinese, the mind, not only of human beings, but also the minds of animals, the mind of the trees. Well, the trees have a mind? Yes. We all learned that recently. The trees have emotions. Trees feel. if they are being loved or hated, and so on and so on. There are trees who like, or plants who like classic music. There are other trees who don't like classic music, like pop or rap or whatever. And we have to find out. Why? Do they speak with us? A tree speaks to me? Yes. In the same manner that my pet at home also may bark or may meow and is speaking with me. But I don't understand what it's saying. I don't hear. That is where we have lost this knowing. So we call it intuition, we call it spiritual mind, collecting all the spiritual mind of all mankind. That is what in Hebrew is called Elohim, or we translate it to God. Elohim is just a key word. So if I want to access this collective consciousness of all mankind, as I said before, I'm the librarian. If anybody comes and tells me, look, my friend, they may call me a rabbi, may call me Joseph, what they may call me. I want to say, how do I access God? I want to speak with God today. I say, okay, first don't call him God, because that's not his name. So that's the first mistake. What's the name? Elohim. So that Elohim, which is again a key code for the divine consciousness of all mankind, this is how you access. This is a mantra. This is a key word that you access in order to connect. And a person may say, yeah, but I've been praying to God for the last 50 years. I didn't hear any reply. So what's happening? But as I said before, there is a vibration, a frequency, like Einstein said. Our whole universe is nothing but vibration, frequency. In order to connect to the spiritual mind, consciousness of mankind, you have to enter that frequency. Your frequency now is boxed in, right? My frequency is how to make money, how to work, how to communicate, how to build a house. That's my frequency, which is a very important frequency. But that's not the only frequency that we have in our mind. Our spiritual mind that has that very high frequency of consciousness is dormant. It has been dormant for thousands of years. At our age, we're waking up. We're waking up. That is why some people come and start talking about, maybe even some nonsense about extraterrestrial beings or about reincarnation. Everybody says, hey, reincarnation, nobody has proven that it is correct or wrong. This and that. We're not talking about preaching. I'm not here as a scientist to prove that I am right. Why? In order to prove that I am right, I have to prove that somebody is wrong. Right? Don't say yes. But that's the principle. I can't be right if everybody's right. Oh, that's the wise, that's the wisdom. So the wise person is a person who doesn't go around trying to prove that he is right and other people are wrong. Because we understand that wise person, we are all right. We're all right. We all have our opinion. We all have our right to exist. We all have a right to speak, to live. We're all right. We're all right. There's nobody wrong. The only wrong or wrongdoing is that person wants to prove that he is right or correct. Because then he loses his right. That's what we talk about righteousness. Righteousness is not about a person who's always saintly being. No, a righteous person is a person who knows that everybody is right. Everything is right. There is nobody who is wrong or incorrect. So this is the wise person versus maybe the smart or other person who goes around trying to prove himself that he has the right of way and so on. So who was the first wise person who arrived here on earth in order to introduce or channel the wisdom of Kabbalah to mankind? Well, that's it. The first being that started transmitting this wisdom was an angel, or is an angel, still is an angel, was, still is an angel. Now, I don't know how many of us believe in angels, but here we're talking about extraterrestrial intelligence. So in order to deal with extraterrestrial intelligence, we have to start opening our mind. First, talk about angels. Now, angels is not something about a conspiracy theory. The Bible talks about angels. The Holy Scriptures talk about angels. Most of all spiritual wisdom and books and sources talk about angels, angelic beings. What is an angel? Is an angel something or somebody that comes with, with wings and flies around and may say or do something? Well, that's it. Now we are exploring something which has to do with our own spiritual development and evolution. So, for example, when the first person that I should mention connected to an angelic being and received this divine wisdom of Kabbalah, how did that person see or visualize that angel? We may not know exactly, but what is more important is the question, how did that angelic being present itself to that person? Why? Because we are physical beings. I need something physical, I need something tangible that I can relate to. If I come to a lecture and just start saying good evening to everyone, and then close my mouth, close my eyes, and meditate for 2 hours. What happened? Maybe after 10 minutes out of my eyes, nobody will be there. Everybody will leave the class. Why? Because we need something that relates to me, in my language, in my being. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm talking a certain language, which is English, but beyond the physical language of English, I'm transmitting to you some cosmic energy. Now this, you don't receive through me. You receive through divine beings that are involved. And they come, and they visit you, and they teach you in your own language, in your own time. They open up the mind gradually. Our intellect is very, very strong. And sometimes our intellectual mind becomes an obstacle to our spiritual mind. And when that angelic being, or divine being, or energy being, or frequency, or a being of frequency, comes and approaches you, you're too busy on the computer, you're too busy eating, you're too busy thinking about your problems. That is why that angelic being will say, okay, I'll wait till that person falls asleep. Then we fall asleep, oh, and then we have those dreams. Some dreams are very confusing, I agree, but other dreams are very vivid, very colorful. And we may even see certain beings that don't appear as human beings or beings with wings, as I said before. But these beings may appear in a certain color, in a certain vibration that may cause me to feel present or happy or secure, afraid or welcoming. And then I wake up in the morning and say, wow, what a dream, what a dream. But then again, life calls me, and that's it, I close that chapter. Oh, it was only a dream. It wasn't only a dream. It was a dream, but it was not only a dream. It was a spiritual connection that we all go through, mostly when we are asleep. Now, can I guide these connections, this knowing? And the answer is yes. Through what? Meditation. Meditation is a technique that, again, when I entered the Kabbalah 30, 40 years ago, talking about meditation, it was something so remote, so far away from our day-to-day life. Because I meditate, what's time to meditate? But nowadays, meditation is not only about, again, belonging to a sect or going to an ashram or going to a Buddhist temple. No, meditating is a process that I can even go online, and there we have, in YouTube, how to meditate. It's very accessible. The problem is priorities. My priorities are not related to meditating. My priorities is what? Mainly about medicating. Oh, there we go. So either you meditate or you medicate. So when I have a problem, whether it is a pain or a headache or whatever, I don't rush to my YouTube meditating course. I go to the doctor on medication. And with that pill, that will solve all my issues. Right? Well, that's our option, my friends. Meditate or medicate. We have been medicating ourselves, not only with, again, pills and so on. We have been medicating ourselves with all kinds of misinformation, abuse of wisdom, and so on and so on. And that is why the meditation can help me to reconnect to my inner higher self. And also to tune my frequency from the physical reality to a metaphysical reality. Now, metaphysical is about science. I'm not inventing any word here. I like doing that, because sometimes I have to explain myself or explain something that I receive and say, hey, what word will I use? Oh, religiosity. Okay, it sounds all right. I don't know if it's the correct word, but I think this is a term that is less disturbing, I may say, than fanaticism, or being fanatic, or being an extremist. So religiosity is not only a person who is religious in the conventional way of saying it, or way of attitude. Religiosity is being closed-minded. So I may follow a religion. I may be Jewish, okay, but I don't want I don't see myself as a again, a person who pursues religiosity, which means, oh, I'm Jewish, which means only Judaism has the right of way, is the correct religion, Christianity is wrong, Islam is wrong, and so on. Or vice versa, I'm a Christian, then Judaism, oh, the Jew, you, whatever, we make you the King Christ, or Jesus, or whatever. And that is the religiosity. That is where we lose the essence of our, not religion, the essence of our human beings. So, when we talk about angelic beings, we're talking about frequencies, energy. Now, this frequency is not lifeless. These frequencies have life, have intelligence. And that is where we are trying to understand what is the human intelligence about. It's about frequencies. So if my spiritual mind is dormant, my intelligence, which means my frequency, is on a very low or very terrestrial level. Let's call it this. Why should I say low? Terrestrial. But when I go into meditation or meditative state of mind, what I do, I change my frequency to a higher level frequency. That is extra-terrestrial intelligence. So I'm not talking about Martians, I'm talking about beings that come from other planets and universes. I'm talking about myself, I'm talking about us, about our own frequency. But this frequency is cosmic frequency. So these angelic beings that I may have understood until now as something that comes from there to me, so I realize, hey, this angelic being is me. It is me. It is my own higher frequency of consciousness. So are we all angelic beings? Yes. Are we all extraterrestrial beings? Yes. So instead of trying to find somebody out there on the moon or Mars or on the other galaxy, by the way, interruption. Do you know why? For the last maybe 60, 70 years, we have been spending not billions, but hundreds of billions of dollars trying to go to the outer space and look for other planets and look for other planets that may be similar to our planet Earth. Do you know why we're doing that? What is the obsession? We want to find somebody out there who knows why I am down here. What's the reason for me being down here? And that's the most absurd pursuit of knowledge or wisdom or enlightenment that I can imagine. Because the answers to my being will not come from a different being. That different being that I may imagine down there is me. So let us stop. Again, trying to look for the planets like the planet Earth. Let us stop looking about, trying to meet somebody who will come maybe with 3 heads or 5 heads or two arms, whatever, and explain to me why I'm here. If I do not discover the reason of my being, nobody, not even God, will explain to me and demystify this mystery for me. And that is the journey of spirituality. It's the journey of knowing, the knowing of the self, which is myself. So the first person who went through such an experience. And that is a person that we call Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve. Where? Oh, we call it paradise or the Garden of Eden. But then we say, hey, it's a myth, it's a legend. Who believes in the Garden of Eden? Where does it exist? We have been looking for the Garden of Eden, by the way, scientists, archaeologists, I don't know, people all over the world. Maybe it's in Egypt, in the Nile, maybe in the Congo, maybe it's in the Amazon. Even Darwin went there and said, hey, this is the paradise. This is where it all began. But the problem is, he did not learn Kabbalah. And Kabbalah says, every single word in the Bible is a code. Day one is not Sunday. God is not God. It's Elohim. It's divine punishment of all mankind. The light is not the physical light that may say, oh, the light is the light of the sun. No. It's a code that describes what? Our physical reality? Wrong. I must say that is wrong. The Bible is a code, actually it's a manual that describes all what is happening where? In the parallel universe of our existence. Has nothing to do with the past. The Bible is not a book of history. The Bible is not a book of archaeology. The Bible is not a book of ethics. Yes, the Bible has history. The Bible has, ethics and morality and laws and so on. But the Bible, as a whole, has nothing to do with all this fragmented vision, this boxing in of all the concepts that I'm trying to, uncover for you. The Bible is a code, and the Kabbalists, they receive these keywords in order to decipher all these words. So the Garden of Eden is not a place. The Garden of Eden, again, is a dimension of frequency that we all have in ourselves, but is dormant. So that's why we don't know how to go back to the Garden of Eden. We don't believe in the Garden of Eden anymore. But the Garden of Eden is a code, frequency. Through meditation, can I access that frequency? Yes, that is why I exist. And the first person, Adam and Eve. Oh, so who was Adam? Was he that primate? How did he look like? Again, a code. Adam was not a physical being, is not a physical being. When I access the universe, the parallel universe, I'm accessing something that is, constant existence, permanent existence, all the time. It's not something that exists today and disappears tomorrow. It's a parallel universe. It's timeless, beyond time, beyond change. So the truth of the Kabbalah does not depend on any scientific discovery or archaeological discovery. Why? Because what I know now from the physical reality is based upon the proof, the physical proof that I have today. But tomorrow, another proof will appear. And my truth and my wisdom and my intelligence will have to go through another change. And every change is a crisis. I can't go through all this crisis all the time. That is why we have to shift our consciousness into the parallel universe. And this, oh yeah, now I'm cruising. Now everything is okay. So in the parallel universe, what was true 6,000 years ago is still true up to date and will be forever true and existing for all our, being, for all the time of our existence. And that is what the spiritual journey of learning Kabbalah wants to lead us to, how to access that parallel universe. And that is Adam and Eve. So who is Adam? What is Adam? Adam is the collective consciousness of all, I would say, masculine energy, frequency in the universe. Who is Eve? Eve is the collective consciousness of all the frequency of feminine frequency in the universe. So we'll talk about codes. And that is how now we are in the parallel universe. We. Because Adam is what? Us. Eve. Us. That is how we learned the Kabbalah about 6,000 years ago. That is why I'm not teaching anything new to you. I'm just back in the same boat. The only way that I can redeem myself, reach salvation, or enlighten myself is with you, all of us together, or in the same boat. So when we talk about enlightenment, yes, after Adam and Eve, there came people like Enoch, like Abraham and Sarah. Abraham and Sarah not only received the divine wisdom of Kabbalah, but they also wrote a book. Now, when you write a book in the human form language, which is form, that was the breaking point, because until Abraham and Sarah, the Kabbalists, or the wisdom of Kabbalah, there was no way that we would be able to access that wisdom here on earth in our terrestrial frequency. We had to shift our consciousness to the parallel universe. Only very selected people were able to do that, like Enoch, like Noah. Yeah, these are real human beings. But Abraham came and said, okay, now I'm channeling the wisdom, but I will write it in the human frequency language of forms. Okay? And that is the Hebrew. Why did I have to stop a little bit? Because as we said before, I'm not talking Hebrew, in the language that maybe Israelis may speak. It's a language of frequency of forms. That is why Hebrew is not Jewish. The meaning of Hebrew is what? To create bridge, to bridge over. So Abraham, the first Hebrew, because he was able to bridge over. Remember, from the parallel universe, he bridged over and created a bridge into the terrestrial frequency in the language of forms. That is called now Hebrew. And then we mistake it as the language of the Jews and so on. Oh, this is misconception, corruption of knowledge and wisdom in our history. So when we enter the world of Kabbalah, we start deciphering these codes. So Hebrew has nothing to do with the Jewish people. No. Hebrew means bridging over. And we all have this bridging over inside us, where we have to bridge over. So one side of the bridge is to transcend the physical reality of frequency and enter the frequency of what we call the Garden of Eden, which is a code of the parallel universe. That's one step. But then I want to come back to the physical reality. Another frequency, Hebrew, come back. And then I am able to live a life of balance, and harmony, and peace, and inner peace. Well, the example that I give is like a plane. We all went on a plane, and we all pray, whatever it may be, that the plane will fly with both wings, right? Why is it important for a plane to have two wings? Why? Oh, it's a physical reality. But it's very simple. Because one of the engines fail, yeah, the plane may not fall, but definitely to be a rough ride. Flights. Oh, I'll be shaking, I'll be tense, I'll be afraid, I'll lose control. What's the situation? What's the solution? Well, to start the second engine working. And that is what Kabbalah does. Kabbalah does not preach to be a miserable person or to give up our riches or our job or our family and so on. No. The Kabbalah just wants to add the other wing, the second wing, to balance between my physical needs and reality and spiritual needs and reality. And then we can have a smooth ride of flight. Because otherwise, we're all the time, up and down, up and down, up and down. We're anxious, we're afraid, we're just, nearly dying from fear. And that's what's happening with us on this planet. We need another wing. From Abraham, this cosmic wisdom, he tried to teach his father, his family. Hey, nobody understood nothing about the wisdom of Kabbalah. Why? Hey, I need my temple, I need my prayer, I need my, what we call about this brainwashing and blind faith. I have to feel that I'm better, superior than the other. My religion is more correct than the other, and so on and so on. And ever since we have been, committing the most cruel atrocities to each other in the name of the Bible, in the name of democracy, in the name of God, in the name of this and that. At least in our age, we were able to shake ourselves from this bondage, from these chains of slavery to blind religion and blind faith. And that is a big achievement. The question is, where do we go from here onwards? The question. The answer, well, we all have to get that answer. We all have to be responsible. Now, I said that I will share a few spiritual experiences. I went through many experiences, many out-of-body experiences, many times. I went and came back. Sometimes I went and hardly came back. But one very powerful experience I'd like to share with you that I had in Egypt. Egypt. Has anybody here been to Egypt? Good. When you enter Egypt, well, the first encounter is Cairo. Cairo is a terrible city, with all due respect. Why? Because I know the traffic, the pollution, but that's not Egypt. Egypt, not Cairo. The pyramids are beside Cairo. And that is where we start this spiritual encounter with frequencies that come from other dimensions. Ancient Egyptians, from where did they come? From Atlantis. So when Atlantis was destroyed, not all Atlanteans were killed. These, what we call, again, immortal beings, or in our word, semi-gods. The term God is very, we use it a lot, even though we don't understand what it is. But we're talking about spiritual, immortal beings in the form of human. They were saved from Atlantis and they appeared in the land of Egypt. And the land of Egypt, they taught the Egyptians who were there all the secrets of the wisdom of the universe, which include also astrology, astronomy, science, healing, medicine, astrophysics, everything was taught to the Egyptians in the land of Egypt. including how to build the pyramids, which until now we don't know how they did it. Not only that, if I want to imitate the construction of the pyramids with all the highest technology that advanced I have nowadays, I won't be able to. How is that? How is that? What did they know that I did not know, that I do not know yet? Well, that's it. This is the wisdom that we are together recovering. Mummification, how to mummify the body. Again, until now, the big mystery. How did they know? When we relate to them as primitives. Oh, they were primitive people, primitive civilization. We are superior. We are more advanced. But are we? Not necessarily, exactly. So this is between the wise and the smart. We may be more smart, more information. Yes, but are we more wise? And then when we enter this frequency of cosmic wisdom, which is the Kabbalah, then I am able to transcend time and interact now with the wisdom of the Egyptians that existed and still exists 6,000 years ago. For those among us who visited the temples of Egypt, I want to say that yes, I was able to encounter and interact with these godly beings or deities. Now, even though Kabbalah is related to Judaism, Christianity, by the way, Jesus was a great Kabbalist, one of the greatest of all generations, but we misunderstood him. Like we misunderstood Buddha, like we misunderstood maybe Muhammad, like we misunderstood Gandhi. We misunderstood all these enlightened beings. Why? Because we did not know Kabbalah. And that is why we killed them, we persecuted them, we did the most horrendous things to these beings who came to enlighten us. But we felt threatened. We felt threatened by their wisdom. Now, after many thousands of years of reincarnation, our souls, our minds have developed and are more open to eventually learn now what our souls incarnated maybe 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, but was not able to receive, to learn, to accept. That reminds me about the second meaning of the word Kabbalah. Acceptance. Eventually, the key word or the key consciousness to enlightenment is self-acceptance. When I finally, well, we all finally accept who and what we are, that's it. This is when we shall usher and receive the age of enlightenment, the age of Aquarius. This is our age, this is our generation. So Kabbalah is not going to receive. Kabbalah is acceptance. Because I can receive a gift. A person gives me a gift, I receive it. But do I accept? Do I accept what the person wants to share with me? His love, his care, his whatever, his respect. And that is the acceptance. So I can learn a lot about Kabbalah. I can learn a lot about meditation. I can learn about extra-terrestial beings. But do I accept? Acceptance is when I have broken through all the barriers of trust or mistrust, misconceptions, preconceptions, hatred. Yeah, hatred, that's a big, big one. And then I'm able to accept. Not only myself, but accept everything and everything. That is the highest level of spirituality, self-acceptance and redemption, salvation. So what was I talking about? Accept. So when I went there to Egypt, I had a very, very hard encounter with these deities. In the beginning, it was a shock. Like maybe a lot of things that I'm talking about. Oh, there's a shock. Let's talk about. Is it shocking? If it's true or not, you are the only person who will find out. But in those encounters, I was able to, as I said before, meet or encounter with these deities. deities, again, which have no sex, no gender. It's not a male, not a female. It's a deity. It's a frequency of consciousness that we may call God, that we may call divine or divinity. We try to struggle with these words because these beings, who are extraterrestrial beings, are beyond our words. Because all our words come from the world of temporality. Temporal means time. Everything is temporary. Everything. That means, oh, I'm happy. Am I all the time happy? No. I'm happy for an hour, 2 hours, or a whole week. And then I become sad. Oh, I'm sad. But I'm all the time sad. No, I'm sad for an hour or two and so on. Oh, I'm whatever. Anything that we conceive in our frequency, the terrestrial frequency, is governed by time. When we access and we have encounters with extraterrestrial intelligence, that is the moment where we transcend temporality, which means our mortality. And we connect to something which is immortal in us. Immortal means beyond time. Those were the encounters that I had in Egypt twice. That is why I take people to Egypt to go through a process of initiation. Not only Egypt, the Holy Land, Israel also, Peru also, in order to have this encounter with these divine deities who are immortal, in order to remind us who in essence we are. We are all immortal beings who have incarnated to go through a process, a journey. And this is the most exciting journey in the universe, here on Earth. Let's not mess up. And let us do our choices correctly in order to realize and bring to fulfillment this divine, essential, immortal being that we all are. If we're looking for angels, we look around. Look around. We are the angels. We are these divine beings. We may not have wings, but we have wings. We all have wings. But we still have to learn how to fly. I'll stop now and open for questions. As you see, I like talking, but actually I like sharing. I like sharing this wonderful experience that we call life and living. Living with spiritual consciousness. I like sharing with anybody who's open to listen, because we are all together. And that is the wonder of our being, this togetherness. Questions, my friends? Yeah, please.
Egypt is, I'm obsessed. And I always question why, how they built. I always knew they were much more wisdom than every people in the world.
Exactly.
And I never did Kabbalah, never, but it was for me, they are the most wisdom people, the ancient Egypt in the world.
Yeah, yes.
And I don't think we never gonna understand.
Again.
What do you think? We
I don't want to
get there
Yeah.
to understand multiplication, the pyramids. I don't.
Well, let's at least open the possibility and not close it. That yes, we are in, because we lived in Egypt. We lived in Atlantis. Nobody here is here for the first time. We went through many traumas throughout the last many thousands of years. And as you know, in psychology, when a person goes through a trauma, what happens? We block that trauma. But by blocking the trauma, we're not healing the trauma. Now, in our age, is the moment or the age of healing, where we gradually open the trauma of our childhood, of Atlantis, or this and that, in order to heal ourselves and in order to advance in our spiritual growth. We are doing it. We are doing it. So what I want to say is that by the fact that our souls lived in the age of Atlantis and ancient Egypt, this wisdom is inside of us. The only question of, as we said before, being able to access it again. All right? Any more questions, my friends?
You said something that you take people to Egypt and Peru. So what do you mean? You have a group that you take people there?
Oh, yes, yeah. Our next trip is to Israel, the Holy Land. I say by the spirit of Kabbalah, which means what? Just to explain. So, for example, I'm a Jew. Oh, I go to a synagogue in Israel. I'm a Christian. I go to a church. I'm a Muslim. I go to a mosque. By the spirit of Kabbalah, we visit all churches, mosques, synagogues, but not only. We also visit Israel in Tel Aviv, on the cities, Kabbalistic, what we call portals. And we meditate. When I guide, we go through, for example, 12-day trip. And during the day, I'm with a group in the bus, guiding, explaining about the history, about the archaeology, about the culture, about even the language of Hebrew, about the Bible, about the New Testament, the Old Testament. So we bring the whole package together, like I did today. We transcend all the fragmentation and separation, and we connect to the holiness of the Holy Land. This will be in the next trip from the 4th of June till the 15th of June this year.
Not in September?
Sorry?
Not in September?
September. But unfortunately, this year, this is the only trip that I've planned. Hopefully by next year, I want to plan another trip to Egypt, to Peru, and even to Tibet. But those people who have been traveling with me for many years know that every year we do a certain trip. As we're coming out of the trauma of the pandemic, and the people are still a bit, cautious of traveling, this and that. That's why this year is only one trip. I may have another trip later on, but it's only this and that. But definitely, as we say, with the help of you, this is God willing. What's God willing? It's not that God up there that's willing. It is we who are willing. Our divine consciousness is willing, and we shall have, as I said, trips to Egypt, to Peru, even to Spain, to Morocco, to Turkey, Tibet,
So how do we know?
Amazon. I do trips
How
to
do
the
we know
Amazon.
about those trips?
Okay. Now for contact, please, we have that. Yes, you can leave your
Can I pay
name.
this with credit card?
Sorry.
This can I pay with credit card or just cash?
No, I think
Credit card or cash?
Oh, credit card.
have cash.
Yeah, you can give.
We'll
solve it.
Oh,
I have a final question, which is.
Oh, but this is about the Amazon.
Sorry.
but only I can
I
separate
also-
and leave here, come back. Because I don't have.
I also arranged trips to the Amazon. To the Amazon.
Amazon is too many.
No. We go to a place in the Amazon with no mosquito. I went there twice.
I'm from Brazil,
Don't
but I
use
don't
any
want to go to
spray.
the Amazon.
Yeah, I
Too
know.
many mosquitoes.
Yeah, there's a place. There's a.
Yeah?
They don't call when you're transcending.
But you know something, it's so funny because.
Again, instead of saying, I was talking about mosquitoes.
I know.
The mosquitoes depend on the pH, the acid, the level of the water. So if you go to a certain river in a certain time of the year, the pH is high, there are mosquitoes. pH is low, no mosquitoes. And that is how you know how to go to the Amazon. Because in the Amazon, millions of people live there. Right?
And then when I came to this country, I found out that when I was in Brazil, I didn't know. But in the Amazon, there is a very old Jewish community.
True. Not only one. Not
Yeah.
only one. There
Not
are
only one,
many. There are
very,
many.
very old.
Exactly. Yes. Or Hebrew community. But in any case, we're talking about a place on this earth, on our home, that we don't know about. That is, again, there are many tribes there. And when we're looking for wisdom, this primordial wisdom of existence, how to exist here on earth. And we are school teachers. Yeah, the Kabbalah, a lot. But there's another group of people that can teach us how to live in harmony with the mosquitoes without being bitten, and those are the natives. The natives. Here in America, not so many. Canada, well, they're trying, to recover. But over there in the Amazon, you will meet, like I met, the true natives who have their true culture, thousands of years. And by the way, also belonging to Atlantis, how to live with Mother Nature in peace, with the trees, with the animals, without being again living afraid. Not only that, when we talk about spiritual experiences, they are the people of spirituality and spiritual experiences, shamans, and so on. So that is why I arrange groups to the Amazon, where we go there and we interact with the tribes in their language and their culture, in order to absorb and to learn from them how to live again in harmony with Mother Nature. They have been doing it for thousands of years. And we just woke up about 10 years ago. Oh, Mother Nature, how to do this? They speak with Mother Nature. They interact with Mother Earth, with the trees, with the birds, with the sky, with the wind. They have rituals that help us to interact, to open the spiritual mind to the power of fire, power of the wind, and so on. Not only to speak, but also to listen.
I have a final question, which is, yesterday you made an interesting analogy about the only thing we don't control in our not physical body, but in our existence, if you will, is our mind. Right? And I think that's a good analogy for you to elaborate on a little bit and share with them.
How are we with time? Yeah.
Which book should we read first?
Okay. We're talking the books?
Yeah.
I'll attend to. But
Yeah,
the first
he was
book,
answering my question.
yeah, then I'll answer. The first book would be Despertar da Consciência, The Awakening of Consciousness. That would be the first book, the white one. Yeah. The second one would be Kabbalah and the blue one, Chave Secreta do Universo. Great. The third one would be Árvore da Vida, the Tree of Life. Yeah. Okay, enough of Elgamore.
No, if I want to take both because I'm really interested.
Yeah. Now, in order to buy more, I would recommend the book that talks about prosperity. Have a lot of money to buy more books. Okay, that's a joke of it. About the mind. Yesterday, I had a talk in the showroom of Ornare, again, in Greenwich, right? Greenwich. And there, I spoke about the mind. What we talked today about the spiritual mind and the control of our mind. One of the things, one of the most important things, or maybe the most important thing that we have to learn as we embark on this journey of spirituality is how to, before controlling our mind, how to speak, interact, communicate with our mind. Why? Because what we learn in school, what we learn all around, is about the brain, the function of the brain. But nobody speaks about the mind, or hardly anybody. Somebody speaks about the mind, but immediately goes to the brain. Why? Because when we talk about the parallel universe, how do I shift my consciousness, the frequency of my being, that my mind? That's it. From one frequency here to another frequency, the parallel universe. It's through the mind. The mind, our mind, is the most powerful tool that we shall ever discover in this universe, our mind. Now, when I may ask you, where is your mind? Where would you locate your mind? Most people would say, oh, the mind would be here, right? In this region, I would suppose. But that is only part of the answer. Our mind has no physical place. our mind is not necessarily in our brain. Because our heart also has a mind of its own. Our eyes, our liver, our kidney, our everything has a mind of its own. The problem is, I have no control over my mind. I have control over my muscle, my arm. Go here, go there, walk straight, walk back. When it comes to my mind, and I sit for 3 seconds and say, please, mind, leave me in peace. What happens? My mind wants to talk. No, there was a problem there. I want to fight with this person. I remember that guy 10 years ago. He made my life miserable. Blah, 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 all the problems. Please, please, give me peace. Oh, peace. Why? Who controls my mind if not me? Well, that's another question. Why don't I have control of my mind? Because really, we all have lost our mind. People always people say when you learn Kabbalah, what happens? You lose your mind. I say, I've already lost my mind. But the Kabbalah will help me to find my mind. And that is the journey. So when I find my real mind, which in the meantime doesn't belong to me, and then I'll have to, acquire again my control over my own mind. That is meditation, through meditation. And that is the exercise. But once I realize that I have already lost my mind, that's the first step forward towards the world of Kabbalah. Okay. Any more questions, please?
Where did you decide that Kabbalah was going to be your existence? At what point of your life were you from childhood? Tell us a little bit about you and where you found Kabbalah.
Okay, good question. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, that's it. I was born in Iraq, Baghdad. I grew up in a Jewish family, the Jewish tradition, whatever. And then I made my immigration to Israel. Eventually, I flee Baghdad, all the life of the Jew will be persecuted and so on. And then I came to Israel. I was 13 years old. I lived like any other Israeli, in school. Not too religious, but my tradition. All the feasts and so on at home. And then I went to the army in Israel. By the age of 22, I met my master. And his name is Rabbi Berg, and he opened the world of Kabbalah to me. By that age, or just before that, I was so frustrated with my religion, with the ignorance maybe of the people that claim to be religious and leaders and so on, politics, all this, the corruption that we all see around us. And I lost hope in my religion, my tradition, in my history, my being. When I came upon the Kabbalah, that's it, a new world opened. And I started to meet and interact with my spiritual guides. These spiritual guides lived here on earth 4,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. These are the extra-terrestrial intelligent beings that I eventually will introduce to all of you. The person is able to, again, adapt the frequency. I will help. But without willing, there is no way. There is no way. And that is where I went through a process of 3 to 5 years of, again, reinventing myself. Reinventing my own religion, my own being, my own life, my own universe. Eventually, I had a lot of help, physically and metaphysically. And that is why I'm still on this path.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, my friends, again, I would like to thank all of you for coming here. And I say always, There is no teacher without disciples. There is no teacher without a desire to learn. And if the Kabbalah is being revealed and being disseminated or taught in the world today, it is thanks to you, thanks to all of us who come to lectures like this with an open heart, an open mind, even though we may not control it, but at least I want to open my mind to listen to something that we know is true, something that we know is there. But maybe we didn't have the courage to acknowledge it, or the right time, or the right person, or the right words. And this is what the Kabbalah offers. Thank you all. God bless. And till our next time, okay? Yeah, let's see what happens here with the Zoom. Okay. Olá, pessoal. Muito obrigado pela participação. Quem está aqui é a Márcia, Odete. Quem está aqui mais? Boa noite. Tchau, tchau.
Silvana.
Opa, Odete. Boa noite.
Boa noite.
Tchau. Oh, thank you.